Hello everyone, it is Dan from Twisted Pine Woodworking, and today I'm going to show you how to make a super simple step stool that everyone can use and anyone can build. Here are the materials you will need for this project. You will need one 2" by 4" by 8" or stud length board. You'll need one 2" by 6" by 8" or stud length board, but you only really need one piece that is 15 inches long if you have a piece of scrap laying around. You will need 16 2.5" screws, a saw of any kind, be it a miter saw, table saw, or even a hand saw if that is all you have. You'll need a tape measure or a ruler that is longer than 15 inches. You'll need a pocket hole jig, a drill or a screwdriver that matches the screws. You'll need some wood glue. You'll need some paint or stain depending on what you wish to do, and then some clear coat to protect it. And finally, which these are optional, but a square and a sander if you have one, or just sandpaper if you don't have a sander. Next up are the cuts that we are going to be making. We'll be making one 2x6 at 15 inches, two 2x4s at 15 inches, two 2x4s at 13 inches, and two 2x4s at 7 inches. You can also find these in the description below, so you don't have to come back to the video at this point. Alright, let's get started. So first off, we have to make our cuts. I am using scrap ends from other builds, so that is why I don't just have an 8-foot board. Our first cut will be the 2x4 at 13 inches. You want to make sure that they are the same size, or else they can throw off the look of what you're building. You can use a stop block if you wish, or just do as I'm doing and match up the end and then put them against the blade, and then cut them both. If you end up shaving off some of the top piece, it's no big deal, as they just need to be the same size. Next cut is the 2x4 at 15 inches. Again, make sure they're the same size. And the last 2x4 cuts we make are the 7-inch lengths. If you're using an 8-foot board, you'll just continue using the same board. I am using scraps, so I have to get a different piece. And finally, the last cut that we will be making is our 2x6 at 15 inches. I for some reason thought I needed to cut two pieces when filming this, but you only need one, so disregard that. You can take your 15-inch 2x4 and use it as a guide for the 2x6 to make sure it is the exact same length. Again, what I am doing here is cutting a second piece, which I did not have to do, so disregard it. Now it's time to drill the pocket holes. Some woodworking purists say pocket holes are cheating and inferior. I say do what works for you, and do whatever is easiest. You will need to put 4 holes in each bottom board as shown. The exact placement doesn't really matter just as long as the 2 in the bottom board go into the top board. Don't forget to flip one side of the step stool so the pocket holes end up being on the inside of the step stool. Finally, make 4 marks on the top board where you'll be screwing into where the steps attach. Then it is pocket hole time. I use the Craig pocket hole jig, but you can use whatever brand you have. Make sure you have your bit depth guide set to 1.5 inches and your jig set to 1.5 inches. Now do the exact same thing for the other side, but remember to do it on the mirrored side. Here I am just putting things together in a dry fit just to make sure I have everything done properly before I start to glue and screw. Now grab your 2.5-inch screws and glue and start gluing. If you're only going to be staining your boards, you will want to watch out and make sure that your glue doesn't get all over your wood, as stain does not penetrate the glue. If you are painting the base, you don't have to worry so much as the paint will go over top of the glue. Using your screws and glue, attach your bottom board to your top boards, wiping away any excess glue. Now it is time for everybody's favorite part of woodworking, sanding. If you're going to paint the bottoms, you can just do a quick sand to get rid of any rough edges and slivers. If you will be staining the bottom, you will want to do a good sanding job, as stain will show any imperfections in the wood. But if you are wanting that full rustic look, you can always get away with no sanding and leave those imperfections showing. I would say to at least lightly sand where you drilled those pocket holes, as there might be some slivers in those. Now it is time to paint or stain. I am painting my bases with some white spray paint. You can use whatever you have, spray paint or latex or enamel, doesn't matter, it's just a step stool. Now it's time to stain. I am staining the top of my step stool using Minwax Jacobin stain. I do the bottom sides first so I don't scratch the top, as that is the part that matters most. As I said earlier, scratches show up with stains really easy. Once I am done doing the bottom and the sides, I flip over the piece and stain the top. Now I set those aside and wait for the manufacturer's recommended time for them to dry. Once those are dry, it is time for the clear coat. This will protect the wood and stain from water and physical damage. I am using a water-based, oil-modified polyurethane. I again started with the bottoms and then the sides and then the tops, making sure that there are no air bubbles anywhere. Once you are done, set that aside to dry. Wait the recommended time as the manufacturer recommends. Finally, we are at the last step. Attach the top steps to the base. I use a scrap piece of 2x2 wood, which is actually 1.5 inches thick, as a guide for the side overhang. Make sure everything is square with either a square or by doing this with your scrap piece of wood and on a flat surface. Next, attach the front top piece. I add a 1/2 inch overhang over the step just for aesthetic reasons. Now do the other side. Using your same scrap piece of wood that you did on the other side, put it underneath so you have the same distance on each side. And don't forget about your 1/2 inch overhang. Now you're done! Simple, right? You can always go one step further and fill those pocket holes with dowels, but I don't think that's necessary as it is so low to the ground, and as you can see in these pictures, you can't even tell that they're there. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click the subscribe button to get notified of new builds and time lapses. Click the bottom left to check out the previous video. Click the bottom right to check out another video. Click on the social links in the description to check out some of our other builds and photos, and make sure to follow them as we do giveaways from time to time.